right on the table of where I'm at as your chairman for the town. It's called a zoning update. A prominent community conversation started in 2023 related to zoning regulations specific to farming and agriculture. It began when a large family-run dairy farm approached the town and requested an expansion to their existing farming to accommodate 1,500 cattle. Following this request, the town engaged in extensive conversations with the Department of Agricultural Trade, Consumer Protection, the Wisconsin Department of DNR, Legal Counsel, specific zoning to assist us in examining our zoning requirements based on several stringent requirements set in place by the state of Wisconsin. It's important to note that when the request was first presented, inaccurate information was spread to the community. A false claim that 10,000 cows were moving into Trenton created much fear and alarm. During that ensuing months, a petition to deny the rezoning request was circulated and signed by many residents. For those of you who signed the petition, I hear your voice. I personally reviewed every signature and everybody who went out to grab the signatures, and I want you to know that we share the same values for the town of Trenton. Currently, the zoning request has been rendered mute because the parcels in the application have been reconfigured. Therefore, the town will not be considering any zoning change, and the parcels will remain in the exclusive agricultural district. As we move forward together, we will be reviewing the town's agricultural zones and their practice of smart zoning to make the best long-term plan for our farmland. I respect the rural heritage and future of Trenton farming and will continue to uphold my commitment to serve the best interest of the town and all residents. As part of the process, I've invited experts in the field of the regulation oversight of Wisconsin's farmlands to educate both the board and the Plan Commission to guide our decisions. I ask for your patience and faith during this process. As you may know, a plan was established 15 years ago to guide the town of Trenton into the future, the 2050 plan. The plan was carefully constructed based off the input from the public. Board and Plan Commission and includes specific mapping for farming and development, and we will continue to operate in accordance with this plan. Be assured that large factory farms will not be populated and moving into Trenton, and no single group's interest will be placed above the greater well-being of the town. As a long-standing resident myself, and with a vested interest in the town's future, I am dedicated to the relentless pursuit of the preservation and continued success of the town of Trenton. 2024 and beyond, we look forward to be assured the town board is working to preserve the rural historic quality of the town of Trenton and serve our residents. In addition to collaborating with 22 other towns, villages, cities, and with Washington County, I will continue to spend hours looking into our roads, fire and safety, and for zoning and elections. So, before, again, I would like to say that, just so you know, that this isn't a competition, and this isn't a us versus them discussion tonight. It's an us for us forum. And I don't want anybody to feel intimidated, and no one should feel threatened to speak. Everyone should have a voice, and we're all neighbors. And as I visited every door during my canvassing and then during this no rezone process, I ran into one rude guy, and he shut the door in my face, and it was one out of 2,500. It's probably because he didn't know me, but anyway, everybody's been great, and so the core of the community really desire the same things for obviously clean air, clean roads. We all want the same thing. I don't believe, so having said that, I've got some other comments to make. And I just want you to know they are not in support of the zoning or the draft because, quite frankly, the draft isn't even made. I have nothing to support it or to be opposed to at this point. So I don't have any skin in the game on right now what's taking place. One Friends of Trenton member sends a list of 25 residents, and they say, "We are still working hard to get the town officials to listen to our concerns and use extreme caution with any type of acceptance of very large agricultural operations like CAFOs." And I thought to myself, we are still trying to get the town to listen. Are you? Okay, so that, I wasn't going to, I'm not defending the zone and the farm, I'm defending the town government. This is my transparency and listening. We held meetings at the beginning of last May. We consulted with council. I had John Schmanson over my house for 90 minutes. He taught me all about water and land and absorption of soil joint meeting in October, we had a lawyer here that was kind of attacked for his guidance. He is accused of being a farmer-friendly gentleman. He worked house to a meeting, and he was basically, discredited. So I could see the public in the town, and Joy included, didn't have any faith in the lawyer. So I asked him to set aside and hire a lawyer. So I don't know if that's not listening. I believe it is. Public lost confidence in him, so we got another guy. Friends of Trenton asked us to slow this down and seek experts. Emily Kearns, who's the author of Friends of Trenton, asked me to consult the DACAP, a guy named Tim Jackson. My first impression was it's not typically what we do. It's not in the bailiwick of a town chairman to go into the Department of Agriculture. But we did. We invited the DNR to one planning commission meeting. Again, listening to the town and educating our planning commission. Then we invited the DACAP guy to our meeting, Tim Jackson. I listened, and I gave him valuable information. As a matter of fact, he gave me a great idea, and we're currently pursuing it. I also had a meeting with Emily and Sarah at the hub. We had to discuss, find common ground. I think we found that we really had the same interest in the town. I was listening, and I thought, I came back here and told Cindy it was a great meeting. I was very excited. And then I found out later that it wasn't taken that way. But I went to Bob Roden's house. I went to had a meeting with him and Rick, and I sat down and said, hey, answer some questions for me. Tell me about this, this, and this. And these are things that were asked to me by Emily and Sarah. And they answered. So I thought to myself, I'm in the middle. I see both sides. And again, nice people. So I emailed Sarah and Jay, and I said, hey, why don't you head over to Bob's, sit down and ask him these questions. I'm not trying to change your opinion. You can still have your opinion about what he's doing, but just get the answers instead of. But they declined to do so. So okay, still trying to listen. We've had Emily from Friends of Trenton here for hours. She spent hours. Here's your 2.5 hours. I believe. So talked to her about an hour in the parking lot. Great conversation. I enjoy talking to her. She's very nice. She's very professional. But to say, and she gives us a lot of ideas. She gives us websites and links to look at. They do a lot of research. We take it from them, and we do the research as well. So we thank them for it. I've done the same thing with Val Jansen and John Jansen. As a matter of fact, John Jansen and I had a meeting with the county Paul Siegel on the 24th to discuss soils, water testing in certain parts of town. So it's not as if we're stonewalling and not working with Friends of Trenton. Again, what the Friends of Trenton want, we want. But it's just a matter of, I guess, how they're going about accomplishing it. I am on a call basis with Sarah. Sarah asked me, Sarah Follen, she's Joan's sister. She's asked me to stay and keep lines of general communication open. I called her one night before a meeting. I called John Jansen and Sarah Follen, two people I called, to give them a heads up on what was going to be discussed the night before, so they didn't hear about it in the minutes, because I had committed to do so. That is listening. So I would say that we're putting in a lot of hard work listening, and we're doing a lot of research. Also, my planning commission, I've charged them with educating, and I've brought people in and put them in front of them. They might have wondered why I didn't push this through and just get this going. I've been continuing education of those gentlemen with regards to our options and ramifications. I understand what we do lasts forever. And I understand I need to be able to go home in 15 years and say I did a good job for this town, or 10 years, or 5 years, or 2 years, even next year, if I don't get elected again. I will continue the pursuit of the prosperity of this town and the quality of life for us all. The planning commission and the board, they're part of this, I would say, information out there. I'm the new guy. I've been here a year. 30 years. The planning commission probably has 140 years combined experience. My question is do you think these 7 people would flip on the town and all of a sudden turn it into a factory farming community? Do you think they would really turn it over and turn your roads upside down? I mean, Barb's been the card of your permits and your things you've asked for, your splits for years, and I guarantee she's probably been holding the line. So to imply and go to people's doors and knock on them and say, oh, you know we're protecting those things. I think, again, you probably ask yourself, okay, what's this all about? Well, I think you can understand what Friends of Trenton is all about. You've got to understand how it all began and authors of these things. Sarah began with an ad in the paper, West End Daily, claiming there's 10,000 cows, and a lot of things were said in there. I thought about all of them were incorrect. We had a different ad, and then it just kept going. There's tactics after tactic after tactic that I don't really personally understand. It was. I've met with the Jansons. I've had a good time. Again, I'm trying to understand what we can do, and I understand things about water. And I just think you need to understand, again, the authors of who is behind some of these things. Emily has, I actually feel for her because I live on Highway M, and I have manure trucks driving in front of my house. My wife said she feels like she's going to be killed when she goes to the mailbox sometime. I texted Andy one day. I said, hey, it's manure day. Get out here. Slow down. They must regulate each other. I've said to the town, I can only control the controllables. Most of those trucks come from Farmington. I have a map right here if you'd like it of the CAFOs in Farmington. Farmington has unlimited CAFOs. They don't have any rules. And they're bringing manure into our fields. You're thinking it might be the rodent farm. Quite frankly, a farmer wants to distribute within a 5-mile radius. Most of Bob, and I has his map, most of Bob's stuff goes in Saco County, up near Hawthorne Hills. I do golf. I wouldn't like that smell, but nonetheless, I get it. And you need to understand where this stuff's coming from, who it's coming from, and you can only control controllables. What we did do was we raised the permit fee for these CAFOs to come into our town roads. We doubled it. I've asked Charlie to get a hold of these guys, they're all friends, and find out the dates in which they come into town. So I can have Andy double shift. We have 2 police cars, and put one on Y and put one on M. Does that serve, I don't know. It's an effort, it's an attempt. And again, that's all we can do. I had a meeting with Schmidt from the county. Barb and I have a heart for people in Orchard Mill, the neighbor subdivision. And so I had a meeting with him to talk about turn lanes off of Y. Could it be done? Just give those people some safety, some comfort pulling in and out of their neighborhood. Because there is truck traffic there. Quite frankly, a lot of it's quarry traffic. Scott will tell you that M, Y, and N33 are major thoroughfares counties built for moving traffic. They're going to have truck traffic, and they're going to have traffic. And where you put the speed limit at whatever you put it at, they're going to drive what they're comfortable with. And that's what human nature does with all our roads. So, but I asked him about that, and I asked him about the possibility of putting up a fence for the 6 properties that back it up. They're not working on the road until 2031, but again, the point is we're attempting to find solutions for all residents. And some you don't come to conclusions to, but they're obviously in the back of the mind and on the chalkboard. The door-to-door campaign, the petition. I read the petition. I understand it. I get it. If people had come to my house and said what I'd heard, I might sign it myself if I didn't know any better. I heard hog farm, 1,000 hog farm. I heard 6,000 cattle farmers moved to town. I heard slaughterhouses moved to the farm. I heard that I owed Bob Room the favor. I've heard it all. I heard 16 houses. I heard 16 stories. And I didn't try to. They asked me about science. I don't care about the science. I care about the truth. I just want you to know what we're attempting to do here. And I don't differ from you. We're not different. I value my property just like you do. So that's kind of where we are. Petition again, I respect that. I'd love to hear from you. I've never had a closed door. I've answered my phone to every citizen that's ever called me. I have a black book with their names and numbers, and I've called them back weeks or months later to follow up. Lloyd will tell you that. I think I've tracked him down 3 times. He's never answered his phone. But I have an open door. So, Joy, if you feel like I'm not listening, please come talk to me. Or I'll come to your house and talk to you. Or I'll meet you at a coffee shop. That's kind of how I roll. So the path forward, it should be positive because, quite frankly, we haven't tossed any coins. We're in good shape. We will develop and add zoning that makes sense. We're attempting to do something that again, Department of Agriculture suggested. I've still got input from Emily with regards to ordinance violation or operations ordinances. And the idea, and if a lot of people don't understand too, if we were able to do zoning with a conditional use permit, the town actually has some teeth. And if the farmer stays at 999 cows and stays on the EA property, you have no teeth. You can do whatever he wants. You can do what you say he's doing, even though he's not. But you can. So there's more town involvement in doing the route we're attempting to do. I'm not opening the town to CAFOs and factory farms. As a matter of fact, it was Bob Roden's idea that I take that AE and I re-amend it to be, instead of 35 acres per AE, I make it to 150 or 140 or something that is fairly unattainable. So what we've done is we've appeased the state in having a zoning district. They required us to have it. That's why we put it in. And then we've rewritten it and amended it to basically shelf it. So, I mean, we're not trying to play any games here, unlike you might think. We are thinking it through. We're trying to calculate things that I can't calculate, the future. This is a family farm. It's generational. It's been there forever. It's grown every year. Mike and Claire live next to it. We've grown for 25 years. They're the closest people to it. And they don't have a problem with it. So resolution, yes. We're going to come to a resolution. We're going to work. We're going to continue to work. And I will listen to Friends of Trenton and part of this. I would say the resolution is about to come tonight, and I would ask you not to support it. I think it only delays the process. I don't intend to delay. I don't think management by government by management by committee is efficient. And I don't need a committee to come and help me do what we're already doing. We've got all the information, we've got all the advice. If they want to give us more, we'll take it. But if a resolution comes before you tonight or before the board, I'm going to suggest we do our jobs and you guys hold us to that. Have a little faith that we will. Again, I'm sitting on a board, a planning commission, and two supervisors that have been on guard for this town for over 30 years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the public, and I will take this over there.
I'm a veteran. I moved to the community 7 years ago. So trying to get smart on this issue, I went to the Town of Trenton website and I looked at the minutes from before, and they weren't really helpful. It says, movement was made to amend Resolution 1, movement passed. Now what? They didn't tell me anything. And so the minutes that are there with references zoning and changes are not real helpful in helping somebody get smart or track what's going on. So I would ask that we keep that in mind as we're doing minutes. I know it's easy to do a minute if you say there was resolution 1 and it passed. But if there could be a synopsis of what resolution was, and then what the impact on the community would be, that would be very helpful in minutes.
Thank you, Mary. I would say that we'd love to hear about that feedback because we do have post-meeting. After every meeting, we have another meeting next morning. We talk about what we did right, what we did wrong, what we're going to do better the next time. And I'd love to hear about the website and in the minutes. That's completely something we can take care of. Yeah, this is available for all. Yes.
Hi, Joe Butler. I'm not a planning commission myself, and I'm not clear as far as the current status of the agricultural enterprise district, and will any animal unit would be allowed in someone's definition, because I thought it was in place yet that it is potentially a district that when you read through it, could have sorrows, it could have numerous things that I don't know if the residents really would want to see that in their neighborhood.
Are you referring to that?
Clarify for me, how many animal units could be in an agricultural enterprise district, whether or not that pertains, is it still relevant, or has that,
The
or
AE,
has that changed yet?
the AE zone at this point is just sitting in limbo.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
The AE zone is sitting in limbo. Nothing's it's sitting there. I hope to amend it to a number.
Do you know when this would occur?
No, I can't. No, I don't.
Okay.
But I know that.
Between now and then, could someone come in and petition for such a zoning?
No.
allows for unlimited animals, and that's what the AE zoning district does. So at this point, that is allowed. Now, getting to that AE zoning, somebody has to apply and prove that it's appropriate. And that's, we don't have any application for that on file right now.
Right, but from what the attorney has been saying, it's pretty hard for us to prove that we would be allowed to stop them from getting that. And that's why I heard from Mike at one point saying, well, maybe we could have a requirement underneath that AD zoning that you have to have 500 contiguous acres.
Right, and those are the things that we're,
So I'm just curious
yes.
when that might actually occur, so we can't do that.
As a plan commission member, you were aware that last week we started that discussion, and it's gonna take some time. So when is that happening? I'm going on vacation next week for 2 weeks, so my goal is before I leave to give you guys a questionnaire to sort of say what kinds of, because I kind of made it open-ended last meeting, if anybody was there, and said, help me create a new ordinance. So we don't necessarily need to start from scratch. I want to look at some model ordinances elsewhere, and then have the plan commission say, what do you want to see in it? And I'm going to create a questionnaire for that, so that we can talk about it in the meeting.
I thought that was going to be more the exclusive A zoning versus the AD.
We are going to look at the entire zoning ordinance related to agriculture.
And I was just hoping that first maybe was maybe address that.
And you certainly can. It's going to be up to the plan commission. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily Kearns, and Hi, I'm Emily Kearns. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the time that Mike and Cindy have done on talking to the Friends of Trenton and for listening to us. And I believe that they've listened to us, and I think they've done a fantastic job over the last couple of months, saying that they do need to make some changes in the agricultural district. However, we do have in this community today a permit for a CAFO by the rodent farm through the DNR. And anybody can go look it up. You can look at everything that's on there, the fields, everything about the water, how much water it uses, the high capacity well. And I think everybody in this town should look at it. So they understand that we do have a CAFO that the DNR is looking at today, and that it's not passed yet, and they have to do a lot of work to get there. It'll be 6 months. But everyone should take a look, because this is your town, so you understand it. And I'm not going to tell you what to look at and how to look at it. There's so much information, and we need to know what we're in store for when they do get their permit. So I just wanted to say thank you to the town for all their work and that they're taking the time to look at this.
I'm Sarah Follett, and I was the person referenced several times here by Mike. And I guess I want to say for the most part, 50%, I do agree with Mike. The whole first half of everything he said was wonderful. We are all on the same mission to make a better community, safer community. And Town of Trenton has nothing against farmers. It's the type of farming that people operations of agri-farmers do is different than what we've all kind of grown up. It's a new form of farming. So I will give Mike credit and kudos to all the planning commission members and town supervisors who have in the past 8 months, 9 months, whatever it's been, paid attention, listened, and done their homework. The other 40-ish% of 50, whatever Mike had said, I do take some of it. I don't agree with, and I won't do the whole highway, and I won't go into individual attacks on certain individuals because I could do them just as well. But I'm going to go on the high road here. The only one I do want to say is this 10,000 number that's been brought up many, many times. First of all, if anybody goes back and looks in the minutes, it was a quote from Mr. Roden in the minutes where he said a CAFO can do up to 10,000. Nothing was said that he specifically was going to do it, but CAFOs can have large farms. And the only other comment is leave it there. Look at the minutes. It's in there. It's referenced in the Number 2, there was something else I was going to comment on. I don't know. There were good. I'll give you these, but we'll let them go. And I'll just move forward. So I'd say, so I'm here basically tonight to kind of talk a little bit about these resolutions. Cable's will exist in Trenton. Cable's exist in the state. You cannot stop cable from coming. The state DNR has said they're fine, and basically fine with them. What we've kind of learned since we're working with an organization who has kind of explained to us what they're doing in a lot of other parts of the state, where you can actually implement these, what we're proposing here tonight, what are called operation ordinances. And what they do is that they, through police authority with the township rather than zoning authority, they allow the township to put some safeguards in their community. So the farms are welcome to operate, but there will also be safeguards in place, such as they have to, well, they're not getting to, so what I'd like to do is make a statement here that I prepared ahead of time. But there is some truth, they would add truth to the township in keeping some of the water safety issues or fire safety, traffic, some of the issues that have been all brought up in the last year, they would kind of address that. So these resolutions serve two purposes. One is to put some of those safeguards in place. And number two is what we've requested, which I think is what Mike is saying he's not, why he doesn't want it to pass, is that it puts a panel of a few residents on a committee with one or two town officials to have discussions as this moves forward into how this operations ordinance would look, and that could include farm people too. But it's a panel of residents so that one, it gives a lot more transparency than there has been for the last 8 to 10 months. I think a lot of that's what I mentioned, is that a lot of the town has been listening, but they've only been listening since the public hearing last October. And for the most part, what we've seen is a lot of people have done letter writing, and there's been a lot of conversations, but a lot of times they're one-way conversations from people to the town officials. There's no feedback as, well, what do you think, or how are we going to do it? There's just been no two-way dialogue. And so our purpose with this is also to get a little bit of a two-way dialogue that the town officials get to hear what residents would like to see in these as well. And so again, it opens dialogue rather than just public hearing where we can all comment all we want, but they're not allowed to let public hearings talk to us or give their opinions on anything. And that would be nice to know since they're all elected officials up here, the town board, and so it'd be nice to know where they stand on these issues. Rather than, and in this case, because Mr. Rowland withdrew his request for rezoning because he can just do it under exclusive aid, he doesn't need to do anything. And at this point, the town is saying he is in compliance. There was never a vote, so we don't know how anybody really feels about this as our elected officials. So this would at least get a panel on board with the township, implementing this operations ordinance so that there's a little more transparency and a little bit more people at the table giving input. They ultimately make the decision, but giving input as to what the community really wants to live with or without. So tables are here, and at this point in time, I'm still not sure. I believe if Mr. Roden could do it, so could the next guy and the next guy. As of today, we could have technically more tables starting up, or people just crossing over that 1,000, 2,000 line. So I don't know unless that's dispute. Somebody could walk in tomorrow and do it until the changes are made. Is that correct? Okay. So we too are in the idea that it would be great. Well, the first 50% of what Mike said, that it's a time for the community to work with the township. It's a time we would love to work together. That's why we proposed the panel. It's a time where we can accommodate probably everybody's ideas into it or not. I know it doesn't have to turn into a big, 50 people, if not a panel, but a small group to at least get feedback and information from the community. That said, those are basically my comments in regard to Mike's comments. I do have a statement here I want to read because I'd like to get back on the topic of the resolutions. So first of all, thank you for all coming wherever you sit on the issue because I've never seen it.
Do we have a time limit?
Yeah.
Okay,
Time
limit.
limit?
This is a town resident meeting. We, as town elected officials and appointed officials, do not have the power. So you as a town resident can do something to try to get out of your bedtime, but right now.
yeah, my statement is about a 2-3 minute statement.
3 minutes.
Make a motion, 3 minutes time limit.
So first, I'm just going to read it, so it's not good. First, we would like to thank all those town officials who have spent time examining factory farms and the detriments that they would have on our community. Factory farms, not smaller than 1,000 animals. Concerns about well water contamination are real. In fact, the headlines in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel 2 days ago had the headline article about contaminated water sources around the state of Wisconsin in which farming plays a part. There are counties and communities within the state of Wisconsin which can no longer drink well water. Let's not forget, we have the jewel of the Cedarburg Bog, and we are a part of the Milwaukee Rivershed. It's illogical to say that water contamination shouldn't be a concern. Moving forward, the township's revisions to the exclusive agricultural and the agricultural enterprise zoning could be the way to address some of these detriments of factory farms. However, how those revisions are made, what they cover, and how they are implemented and enforced will determine their effectiveness. Clearly, this will take much time and effort on the community's part in order to get it right. The community cannot afford another quick fix, as it did quickly implement the agricultural enterprise to solve a problem, as evidenced by the fact that we now have a factory farm in our community with few limitations and safeguards in the community. The town will need more thoughtful, time-consuming professional advice from other communities, as well as an engagement between residents and the town officials. To that end, we have proposed the following two resolutions for ordinances. The first is a resolution for an operations ordinance. Current laws give local communities almost no control over waste, air pollution, and carcasses these huge factory farms produce. Operations ordinances do not ban CAFOs. If a large livestock factory wants to move in or expand, they would need to submit specific plans laying out how they will manage the manure, the air pollution, the water usage, carcass disposal, biosecurity, fire protection, and road damage. There would be enforcement of their plans by the township. In addition, they must post a bond to cover any cleanup if they go out of business. They will need to submit specific plans, and those plans will hold them accountable to the community. But they come up with those plans. So they have say-so in it, basically. This will also aid in adding transparency as to how these factory farms will operate within our community. The operations ordinance is not a ban on factory farms. It simply asks the farmer, owner, operator to provide that they will be good neighbors by sharing their operational plans. The second resolution we have, so there's two of them. The second resolution, and the first one there would include that panel of residents, which would include both sides of the situation. The second resolution is in regard to a biodigester moratorium. A biodigester produces manure biogas and is incompatible with the goals of environmental justice and public health, generating additional concerns for communities living near factory farms, including increased ammonia emissions, water pollution, new pipelines, and trucks, and more toxic air pollution that is produced by fossil gas. While there is no current request to install any of these on a farm operation in Trenton, there is nothing from stopping the CAFO requesting one in the future. It would be wise on the town's behalf to address the issue before it comes in front of them as a formal request from a CAFO. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The above issues have caused a lot of upset and strife within the community. Factory farms are a big deal when they come to the community. There are plenty of disputes throughout the state regarding factory farms to prove that. Read the paper. Every other week there's either people in Wisconsin or other states. There's issues in a lot of places. Okay, there have been residents. Have you done? I'm on the left paragraph. That said, there are two nobody cut Mike off. That said, there are two resolutions to prevent an opportunity for the town to show the commitment.
Make a motion, we limit the comments to 3 minutes.
Said this is about everybody, and it is about.
And we're here, we're trying to represent a lot of people we've talked to. And like I say, Mike, I did agree with about 50% of what he said. We had some good dialogue. Yeah.
I'm Campbell on 6040.
Okay. But we have had good talks, and we would like to continue that. So. You need to talk.
Right.
Okay. That said, these two resolutions present an opportunity for the township to show its commitment to serving all residents of the community. In addition, the resolutions would provide the town with additional support from its residents through open dialogue rather than unanswered questions in the form of public hearings and unanswered would solve transparency issues that are of concern. Collaboration with the community can be part of the solution. While we understand that the discussion and voting today is only advisory in nature, we hope that it will take the information today and implement it at the next town meeting in May. Done. I'd like to ask Cindy though, as far as how it goes, like how long is the discussion going to go on?
I make a motion. I make a motion, we limit 3 minutes comments.
We've got to her with the statutes. There are statutes.
So the yellow sheet of paper has both of those resolutions on one on either side. We'll call the first one, the one of the operations ordinance one, number 1, and the biodigester number 2. So if you have a purple sheet, if you don't have a purple sheet, let us know and we'll give you one if you're interested in voting on these. That's what Sarah Follett is interested in. I mean, somebody has to move to do, hang on a second, I have to tell you how this works. So, we can, yeah, right, no, okay. All right. Order and respect, okay, please. So, when these are brought, you can, if you've read through it, it basically is it's saying the town residents, if it's approved, the town residents are asking the board, advising the board to do this. This is not binding on the board. This is not a town board meeting. The town board cannot vote on anything. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. What this is doing is the will of the people is saying, please, town board, consider this. Okay? And even if it doesn't pass, it's very likely that we will still have this on the May agenda just to discuss. But that doesn't mean the town board has to do it. It means that this is what the people want the town board to consider. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know. So if you want, you can, we could let the other people talk before we do the motions. Okay, good. Yeah, and then when everybody's done talking about whatever, then we can go.
My name is John Polk. I'm a farmer here in Town of Trenton, probably the next farm that could potentially become a CAFO. I know there's people on both sides here, but I guess my biggest question is, how can people be on the side of Friends of Trenton when so far everything I've heard from them on situations about CAFOs have been lies? 10,000 cows. No one ever said 10,000 cows. You can look back in the minutes. Bob made a joke about 10,000 cows. First off, there's 6 farms in this whole township. That's it. You know how many farms were in this town 50 years ago? Yeah. Almost 50. Yeah. More than that. The difference is there's less farms here and we have the same number of animals. The number of animals in this township has not changed. Look back at the numbers. It's all online. It's all public. I just looked at them the other day. I brought it to a plan commission meeting that Joan was at, Sarah was at. Most of you weren't. I've been coming to the, can you please be quiet so I can talk? I didn't interrupt her. All those numbers are public numbers. The days of a 40-cow farm are going by the wayside because there's less farmers. Where are you supposed to get your food from? Everybody wants less animals, less animals, less animals. Well, guess what? Don't go to the grocery store and buy any dairy products. Don't go to the grocery store and buy anything. Everything comes from a farm, right? Yep. So how do you want to eat? My biggest problem here is everyone's concerned about all these CAFO farms coming in here. I'll tell you what, we have one of the most strict townships because all we want is control in this township. You can go to neighboring townships. The neighboring township to the north just approved a CAFO permit. You know how long it took? A month. This one's been going on for a year and it's still not approved. What do we need all this control for, people? No one's going to your house and telling you shouldn't do this. I don't come over and tell someone they pull their lawn clippings on the road. Hey, you can't do that, it's illegal. Guess what? My neighbors do it all the time. I don't go complain about them. It's the same thing. So if everyone's going to complain about the farmers, don't eat. Yep. It's that simple. out of here. Everyone talks about the manure you have to get away. What about the feed that has to feed these animals? No one's considering any of that. Everyone's considering the waste. Guess what? We all have waste every day. They dump it into Lake Michigan all the time. No one's complaining about that. It's not treated. I hauled grain to Milwaukee for 10 years. And guess what? You can see it. After you get a 4-inch rain or 2-inch rain, they can't keep up with it. Look out in the lake. It's all brown. What do you think that's dirt running off the roads in Milwaukee, running into the lake? The asphalt washing away? What's a factory farm?
Farmers don't know where the stick stops. It sticks so bad by my house, it is unbelievable.
Let him talk. I want to listen to what he has to say because me as a farmer, I want to hear these complaints. But guess what? What are you going to do about stink? You're going to completely shut it off?
No, we're not going to have corporate farms around it.
What's a corporate farm in your opinion? How many cows?
How much subsidies come from the state to help with your farm?
Mine? Very little.
Very little.
If I was getting state money, I'd be rich, right?
Have you ever gone over
I wouldn't have to work every day.
Have you ever been to Alton? They work that corporate farm.
It's not a corporate farm. If you would look at that, the entire ownership is family members. There's no investment.
It stinks. People can't sell their properties because of it. Everything else.
So you bring up property sales. There's a CAFO farm just north of here, about 3 miles. There was a house that just sold. Right, maybe from one end of this property to the other, away from that farm. Guess what? It sold for more money than what they bought it for. The price didn't go down. The price went up. I guess my biggest thing is, for everybody that's against this CAFO thing, you're leaning on the Friends of Trenton. So far, all they've done is lie about what the situation is. 10,000 cows. I just talked to a guy the other day that told me he had someone from Friends of Trenton. I described the person to him. He said, yes, that's who it was. And they told him that the Chinese were coming, investing in a CAFO farm in our town to take over. I'm telling you exactly what I've heard from people. The hog operation. I've heard all of this too. I've talked to my neighbors. My one neighbor, I talked to her for 45 minutes the day that Friends of Trenton started. And the first thing she asked is this true? No, none of it's true. This is the real number. You can go online, just like she said, look up a CAFO committee and look up all the stats on that farm. You can look up all their manure maps, where stuff is spread, where all that is. It's all public. So instead of everybody thinking that we're trying to hide stuff as farmers, everything we do is public.
You know, I know I'm saying you're trying to hide anything. What we're saying is that the location of the farm is in an area that's not a good place for kids. We talk about vehicles outside. Right now, there's a lot of radius of that. There's 50 or more homes and wells.
So, but in this township, where are we supposed to have a CAFO farm? And I'm done because obviously the people that listen to me are still listening. The people that don't care, they have their opinion. But for my last statement is, if you want to talk about transparency, I've seen Sarah at every meeting. I've seen her sister, Jones, at every single meeting. So for you guys to still have questions about what's going on in this township with the CAFO, maybe you got to pay attention to the people that are in front of you that talk about it every single meeting. Instead of sitting there with a notebook, shaking your head because you don't want it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Meyer. I am a Town of Trenton resident since marriage, 38 years. My husband has been a Town of Trenton resident 67 years. I apologize for my speaking funny. I had oral surgery, so. Anyways, when this first letter came out stating 10,000 cows, holy shit, we thought, what? That would be the biggest one in Wisconsin, you know? I like to research. I research deep. I like to find out what the facts are. we were lied. And if it was stated that it was something that someone said, perhaps this is why Mike and Cindy and those who are on our government don't give you a point-blank answer when you come to them with a question. They need to research it out. They need to get the facts first. Because apparently, people just listen to what they want to hear and run with it. So we were lied to. I did my research. These rodents are very transparent, very open. I'm so glad I got to meet them. That farm has been there for a long time. A lot of farms have been here for a long time, but like Mr. Falk was saying, we're down to 6 in this township. 6 farms. I don't think there's going to be a whole bunch of people coming in here trying to open cables. Okay? I really just don't see it. That's just my opinion. Now, I also want to speak as far as this last letter we received with a survey. And it gives, what's so sad about it is, it's all fear. They don't give the real facts. People, look into it. Really, do some research on this. You can't just take hearsay. Retired registered nurse here. E. coli, I hate to break it to you, it's in all your bodies. We all have it. I mean, farmers, they regulate their animals by the feed, by the different type of medications, etc. I'm not a farmer, but I hope I'm speaking correctly. They know their animals. They control this. Stop giving the E. coli here. Blue baby syndrome. In the state of Wisconsin, the whole population, there's maybe 1 or 2 cases of blue baby syndrome. But it's all fear. You know, get your facts straight. Stop trying to scare people into making these decisions. Do the research. Talk to the rodents. Visit their farm. They are educators, not just farmers. Many of our farmers are. We rent our land to local farmers. We have a great working relationship. We are proud of it. We are not going to sit and get a lawyer and put together paperwork on, just different regulations that as landowners we should do. You know, when a farm is there for over 100 years or 50 years or whatever, and housing comes in, and it does, townships need to grow. I understand that. I'm not against it. If you have a fear of your water contaminating because you moved near a farm, get a reverse osmosis system. It's the best thing you can do for your body anyway. It's very healthy. You know, you just got to do a little research and a little thinking. And stop throwing these farmers under the bus. Thank you.
Our lawyer told me I could speak as a resident because I actually live here. So as a resident and not the chairman, a couple of things. I do believe the Friends of Trenton and all of us could visit Gundrum, our representative is meeting here on 4/23 this week, next week. Next week at 9:30. He'll be in the town hall to hear. I think it's a state issue. I think some of the things that we're trying to accomplish, that you're looking at your town to accomplish, are state. I mean, let's call leaders. I mean, you've got obviously pulpit, and we have a lot of people who are interested. So, 800 petition signers. Go see Evers and say, look, you need to take the chokehold off these towns and allow them to control their own environments. So that, number one. Number two is, again, what the petitioners are out answering, so we all are. Let's not get... What? Yeah, I'm going to meet here. I'm meeting here. I intend to, yes. And if you want to join me, we're going to bring it up and say, he keeps coming to find out what we want. I'm like, hey, want to know the monkey on my back? The last 12 months? I do plan on bringing it up because I would like to dish it to the state. I'd also like to say the petitioners are, the cost for water and air, and I can relate to, and traffic and all that. I'm right with you. I will say, though, you received this survey in the mail. It's not a town survey, and I say that because a couple people came today survey to us, and I think it's a town sponsored. It's not town sponsored. I believe Sarah wrote it, and no, you didn't write it. Partner, okay. Well, I don't believe it's the Friends of Trenton endorsed. It's not town endorsed. It's obviously another tactic to bring to us, throw it in front of me, and say, see, this is what everybody wants. I get it. I'm already on it. I know what the town wants. Heard it. Listen. And you can fill this out, send it back to her. Don't be rude, but the intentions are good. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. And I just want you to know it's not town related. If you want me to send out a survey from the town that I pay a consultant to do and get it clean and all that, I'll be happy to do that. I'm not sure it's necessary. Because again, I think we're all moving in the direction that's best for the community.
I'm Joy Schroeder, and I think that was me who said my name a few times and said that you came to talk to me and I wasn't there. I didn't answer. It's never happened as far as I know. Anyway, yes, I do have fears. I feel informed by the Friends of Trenton that CAFO in our vicinity could impact our environment, could impact our water, could make our water eventually not be drinkable. I'm afraid that we will lose our property value. I am afraid of air pollution. I am afraid of damage to our roads. And I am afraid that this is a trend of farmers that will just continue unless there's some alternative, which there is. There is an alternative. And the other thing is, I just don't think that animals should be treated this way, kept indoors, lighted up all 24 hours a day. I want to say that please be quiet while I'm listening, while I'm talking. Please listen. I would like to have somebody write a law about spreading that sludge stuff. And that's what I would like to talk to our state representative about. We already have this stuff sprayed in the field across from our house. It's not the rodent farm, no, but it is going to affect our water eventually. I mean, how can you smell that stuff that is such a combination of manure and urine and who knows, cleaning fluids and maybe residue from hormones and antibiotics? That is going to affect our water. We have started to have our water tested, but who knows when that'll happen. I would like to have an ordinance that says everybody within a mile of where that stuff is spread should have some consent. Have to have consent for that to be spread in your vicinity. That's not really fair for a corporation to make a profit on a type of farming that affects the health of the environment, the humans, the animals, everybody. So I'd like to see that. And the least we can do is pass these resolutions. The least we can do is, yes, work with our township to make sure that there is some kind of regulations that goes beyond what the DNR of the state has. And my last thing is, I have a question. Why do humans continue to allow laws that favor profit of corporations over the health of humans and the environment? I believe it's because we don't have enough education. I think that dairy farmer, I moved to Wisconsin, I think dairy farming is a wholesome thing, but the way it has become to have the animals in a building all the time, in close quarters, taking their milk 2 or 3 times a day, that's just totally unnatural.
live in Whispering Pines subdivision. I have a farm background. I grew up on a farm. I worked in ag, not on a farm, but for 35 years working with both homeowners, all consumers, and ag. And, you know, we have a unique situation here in Trenton. I know a lot of the farmers in Trenton, not all of them, but very familiar with what's been going on here and how they run their operations. And I've also been very familiar with other operations throughout the region and even in other parts of the state. And I will say that we are very fortunate here in Trenton with the quality of the farms we have, the quality of the operators. When I first saw the signs go up, I was a little taken aback by the picture on the sign. It's an archaic version of spreading manure to basically create fear, panic. That is not how the manure is spread. It's actually more similar to the small farms that used to exist in the area. John Falk mentioned that there's the same number of cows essentially in the town of Trenton now as what there were 40, 50 years ago. But there were 50 farms. 50 small farms that during the wintertime had all their cows locked up in stalls all winter long. They maybe got to walk around for an hour. So the housing has changed. And I would say it's much better than the housing used to be on these small farms. Secondly, if you look at the aerial maps of this town in the area from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, you see very little woodland. It's all pastured. These cows are walking through during spring, summer, and fall. The cows were out there, the heifers were out there. They were walking through the creeks. They were in the Milwaukee River. And guess what? The Milwaukee River was a cesspool. Our water was contaminated. Now, was dairy farms doing all of it? No. But they were a big contributor. And there's a reason why the state put forth funding for farmers to do barnyard systems and manure pits. And it's transitioned over time. Yes, the farms have gotten bigger, but that's been the trend for a long, long time. Now, then, during the wintertime, these small farms would take the manure out, pile it up in the back before there was any type of control of storing the manure. It'd be on piles out behind the barn. It would rain or the snow melt. Guess what ran off into the creeks, into the rivers, before they could even haul the manure? The systems that they're being used today are so much better than what historically, it seems that the Friends of Trenton want to see happen again, because they don't want the big farm that controls it. Another thing, I have been in, through my career, I was in barn after barn after barn after barn. My wife's a city girl. I would come home, oh, you were in a barn again today. Yes, I was, dear. I spent an hour in Bob Roden's barn one time. This was about 4 years ago. I came home from being in that barn, and there were 500 to 600 head of cattle in that barn. She didn't know I was in the barn that day. That's because of what he's doing to keep the odor down. Wasn't it unique? Maybe the next day I would have went in there, maybe she would have smelled it. But I tell you, it's pretty impressive. And, you know, the things that have been said, how the Friends of Trenton approach this, I feel they have zero credibility. And now, and also, I've asked Rodens themselves, have they talked to you? No, they haven't talked. Our town chairman has made the same suggestion to the town, Friends of Trenton. Have you sat down? You know, you should talk to them. No, they're not doing that. And now they come around with a resolution. They're saying, well, the farmer can have input. Well, and we'll put this committee together. Well, I don't trust that they will put a committee together that would include all voices. And my impression is they probably have a committee picked out already to go forward. But I may be wrong, but that's what my gut instinct is telling me. So, I realize you have concerns about water, yes, but what's being done today is night and day better than what it used to be. Thank you.
Very well said. My name's Rudy Bowerk. I live on Wallace Lake Road. And I'm just stunned once in a while with the ignorance. I know rodents, I know growths, I know folks. These are outstanding people, impeccable farmers in my opinion. Have you gone in their farms? No! You don't know what it's like. Some knucklehead's putting on Facebook, rodents are abusing their animals. I bought animals from rodent. I've been in their barn. Just like he said, you can't even smell it half the time. You guys don't know what the heck you're talking about. You're making all this controversy, and then they're getting threats already because of this stupid social media. I'm really tired of it. You get yourself informed. Whose well is contaminated yet? You don't know. You think.
I believe up by the fall farm there was contamination.
Have what?
At the fall farm there had been contamination of neighboring wells.
Oh, and why? What happened to that property?
You just said
Okay, now here's the problem. So we have a Supreme Court justice who doesn't know what a woman is because she's not a biologist. Are you guys geologists? Are you a geologist? That land apparently had bedrock or something. You know? Does every place have that? We don't know. These people drink the water. Their kids drink the water. Their grandkids. And guess what? Their cows drink the water. You think they want to contaminate the wells? That's their living. Plus you want to go to the state. They have people. They have experts. Have them check it.
I believe the state is still doing studies on that stuff up there.
Yeah, and the state has constantly updated animal manure rules. They just last year they updated another one. Yeah, apparently you don't know that. They're doing what they can. Believe me. Thank you.
I'm Barb Davies, one of your elected supervisors. I don't know all of you. I'm not as brave as Mike. I don't go knock on doors and make calls. First tried running for office, and it was an experience. Although we did mention that some of you invited me in for coffee and cake. So I am now thinking about it. You elected Mr. Dorr, Mr. Lipscomb, and myself to represent you and to consider your interests. I ask you tonight for your support.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak before we consider potentially having a resolution motion?
Hi, I'm Lincoln Bonzo, and I just want to everybody to hear me listen. I just want to protect my own land about no cows, manure, and no smell, no everything out there, no cow manure. Really bothers me.
Good evening. My name is Jay Kienitzer. I live on Congress Drive. Some of you may have attended the fall meeting. First of all, I want to thank the board and the planning commission and all the work that you've done. As I said in the fall, this is an issue that this town, you've never faced anything like it. I mean, when I first was on the planning commission, we talked about the color of outbuildings and where they're placed, and those are relatively small issues. Once in a while there's an argument among neighbors, but this is entirely different league. And I think someone said here tonight, you mentioned the word fear, and I think fear brings out the worst in people. And I think that's what we're seeing here in the town of Trenton. It's divided us as people. I'd like to think that we have the right people in place to make good decisions. But I have to admit, when you do read the news, CAFOs do not have a good reputation. And there's nothing against the farmers here or the reputation that they have, but it's that type of farming that has not produced good results. We've seen water-contaminated wells. Even here in the town of Trenton, there's residents back in 2011 that had their wells contaminated. And they had to pay out of their own pocket to get water and to redig a well. And I guess as a tax-paying resident, I just like fair treatment. So if something like that happens, you want someone to take responsibility for it, right? In that particular case, they did have a nutrient management program, which is monitored by Washington County, not the town of Trenton. But unfortunately, either the program wasn't followed or it didn't work. But to the resident, that doesn't matter. If you don't have clean water any longer, you're the one that's taking the harm. And so I guess as a tax-paying resident, I would hope that whatever we come up with, that we as residents are all treated fairly and have a fair voice. I do a lot of bicycling around the town. I've been here over 20 years and I've seen a lot of changes. And one of the most dramatic ones is the condition of the roads, which we talked about earlier, and then the additional heavy truck traffic. And that's the other concern that I have, is that with the growth of these types of farms, there's going to be more traffic to haul feed and manure. Regardless if it goes outside of our town, there's still additional traffic. With opposition of factory farms. So, thank you.
Rick Roden here. I'm the dairy farmer that you guys are all kind of talking about with the no rezone, no CAFO stuff, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I wasn't even planning on speaking tonight, really, but you guys are all welcome out to come to our farm. I'd be happy to give you a tour, show you how we manage our cows, the barns, our milking facility. We purchased the farm in 1995. Prior to that, it was a Factor farm. He built a state-of-the-art parlor in 1969, a state-of-the-art parlor way back then, probably one of the first in the state. That farm has been there long before that, many, 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 many years, right? There are currently 335 CAFOs in the state of Wisconsin. There are about 5,700 dairy farms left in the state of Wisconsin. 10 years ago, that number was almost double. We're losing dairy farms every single day. So it's no surprise if there's only 5 or 6 dairy farms left in the town of Trenton, and there was nearly 40 or 50 years ago. We're America's dairy land. It says it right on our license plate. Let's keep this infrastructure that we have here in Wisconsin and keep Wisconsin thriving with agriculture and keep this America's dairy land. And they talk a little bit about the digesters. You never say never, right? But for a digester to consider a farm, minimum 2,000 cows. The parlor that I built could maybe handle up to 1,500 cows someday. Right now, a digester company won't even look at me because I don't have enough cattle on my site. Again, you never say never, but today they won't even look at me. So I just want to end with, keep this brief. Anybody is here to come and visit my farm, I'd be happy to give you a tour and explain exactly what we do. Yes?
On your permit, which is a DNR, you have that you're requesting 2,500 animal units. But you're talking about a lower number. Why
So, like I stated, if anybody was here at the public hearing, you have to understand what an animal unit is. An animal unit is 1,000 pounds. So a mature cow is a 1.4 animal unit, or a baby calf is a 0.3 animal unit, right? So while I want to milk 1,500 cows someday, that's the maximum amount that my parlor could handle someday. 1,500 times 1.4, a couple baby calves on the farm, a couple spring heifers, will equate to 2,500 animal units that could potentially be on my farm someday. That's the maximum I ever have to plan.
What do you need the $6 million manure?
So why do I need manure storage? I cannot haul manure February and March. Absolutely not. I cannot haul manure on frozen ground. I cannot haul manure on snow-covered ground. I need a minimum of 180 days, 6 months worth of storage. And I need that today because my CAFO permit says 2,500 animal units in it. I need 2,500 animal units worth of storage today.
You're going to have the $6 million, you're going to have 3 that you have now, 2 and then 1.
Correct. Yep. And I'd be happy to take more questions. And again, like I said, come out to our farm, come visit. We're open. We do tours. We've hosted breakfast on the farm, Sundays on the farm several times. We are open to anybody to come and visit. So we have 2 other sites in Saukville where our young stock are raised. We transferred manure from the home site to our other site so we could properly hose the manure at a proper time because we are starting to get full at home and we have room at our heifer farm. So we're just transferring manure so it's easily accessible when it comes time to actually put the manure into the field. I haul my manure in trucks. You don't like me on the town roads, right? And there's weight restrictions on towns. I'm taking as many county roads as I can. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, so we want to be efficient with our time too. We train all our guys to do the speed limit, and if they're not, we got law enforcement that will take care of it. So, thank you.
I grew up working on farms, so I pick rocks, I bale hay, I've been up in the mound, and thoroughly appreciate farmers knowing you. I think one of the issues that I think society is facing right now is, and I think somebody else mentioned it, a lack of understanding. Farms can't operate in a small setting anymore because business-wise, they won't survive. So you either grow or you die. And that's a reality everybody needs to understand. Now, the other part that I think is probably the hardest for citizens, and I feel even when I was a kid, if you smelled like manure, you smelled like a farm, there were people who didn't like the smell. And I'll be the first to say, when fields are sprayed, I don't like it either. I don't like the taste in my mouth. I don't like the smell in my nose. That said, somebody else already eloquently mentioned it, farming practices are far better than they ever have been. Are they perfect? No. Could they get better? I hope so. I would love to see something happen to address the smell, because there is like air pollution in the form of how we smell. And I think the driving force behind most people is they don't like the smell. But that's part of the process. If we don't have farms, we lose a lot of what we have in the state of Wisconsin. I heard somebody mention, well, the DNR is doing a great job. I'll be the first to say I don't necessarily trust all government agencies. And I don't necessarily think the DNR always is doing really what is in the best interest of our environment. They are persuaded for a variety of reasons, the same way a lot of political agencies are. So I think we have to keep that in mind. But we're all citizens of the same community. I appreciate Mr. Rowden coming out and saying, come to my farm. I also appreciate the people who are saying they're worried about our environment. that may be the hardest thing to do. So I compliment you for your efforts. I do compliment Friends of Trenton because I think deep down, if you're a farmer, you value the environment. You value the soil, you value the air, you value your animals. You value the life. I think there are people coming with different perspectives, but everybody is valuing the environment. And some of what you want as a farmer, these people value too. It's just finding the common ground that you can operate the way you need to survive, and at the same time help people who have concerns to get those concerns at least somewhat met. And a lot of that is based more on emotion than it is facts and rationale. And that's the hardest thing. But the only way that happens, to be honest with you, is more communication. It's more talking, and it's also more listening. So for those of you that have spoke, for those of you that are working so hard, thank you. For the farmers, I can't begin to thank you enough. Like I said, I've worked on it. I don't work on a farm anymore for a reason. You guys, what you do, man, I can't do it. So I thank you guys, and for the Friends of Trenton, I applaud your concerns. I applaud your worry. Just make sure that you always do operate in a very transparent fashion the way we want our members of our government to operate. That's all I got to say.
Hi, again, my name is Maria Nagel. I've asked a couple of questions today, and that is because I really am trying to get smarter on things. And when I saw the resolution, I thought, well, what a great idea, bring both sides together so that we've already established that the board doesn't get paid, and you're not full-time board members. You all have other jobs, except for Cindy, that you have to go to and that take up your time. And I thought, what a great idea to bring some members who represent the Rodens or any of the other farms in our community, as well as some members who represent the Friends of Trenton together, and to bring them together at a table. I actually thought this was a good idea to have a commission, and I don't know why we would be afraid of it. They would just be a recommending commission who would research things, bring things together, and hopefully sit people with different sides of the opinion at the same table to come up with, we all want a solution that works for all of us. We all want to live in a wonderful community. And my background is, I grew up in Michigan, is where I grew up. I was in Future Farmers of America. I grew up on a dairy farm that ended up going out of business. Ended up joining the Army, spent 30 years in the Army, and decided to retire here in this community because I love the rural nature of it. And so I understand that farm fresh air, and that happens. But I think we can bring people together to the table. And Mr. Roden, thank you so much for coming and speaking and answering people's questions. I think that is where we need to be. And so I don't understand why we're afraid of a non-binding committee that would make recommendations to the town board, that would have representatives from the farms as well as representatives from the Friends of Trenton. So I'm not understanding why we would be opposed to to some people that would be willing to give their advice and their recommendations for free, that would be non-binding to our board members to help them make their decisions, who have been very diligent in making the decision. And so that's my thing is why, I don't understand why we would be against a committee making recommendations.
We're going to move on to the next part of the agenda, but I will answer that question. We have, I'm not afraid of anything. We have been talking and meeting, and we've had we have discussions. They're tender meetings, phone calls, coffees, whatever that might be. Not afraid. We already have quite a bit of data, and we're close to a year that it's been in front of us. So So, just not a proponent of it at a time. Just, again, if there's something new, I've talked to the Department of Agriculture, I've talked to the DNR, I've talked to not just the DNR reps, I've talked to the regional managers. I've talked to six, as the girls mentioned, I called 6 different town commissioners that John Jansen gave me from around the state. And I talked to them, and they gave me what their concerns and issues and pains were. And my planning commission is pretty good. They're pretty thorough. They're not just shoulders. And inferences were made on the internet with regards to Bob being on the planning commission and influencing us. Not the case. That hasn't happened. Well, I'm just about ready to move on.
I would like to move that we vote on the resolution.
Oh, absolutely. All right, I have a motion.
Okay, so we are going to take Brian's motion for Resolution 1, which refers to the operations ordinance. Okay. And so we have a motion. We need a second.
I second that motion. Tammy Albrecht.
We have a second. All right, any discussion? All right, thank you. We will take all those in favor.
Okay, so the way we're going to do this is because I want to have an accurate count. So if you do not have a purple sheet, get one. And please write your name and your address.
Or you can get one on the way out, right? I mean, you can make sure you leave. Yes. Restate. The resolution is for, but I'll get it so everybody.
Okay, so if you don't have a yellow sheet, I'll basically say that there's a lot of whereas, meaning the Wisconsin state has authorized things like that. So basically, the final statement, and if you need more information, the final statement is, there's an operation ordinance, and I believe Sarah talked a little bit about this. Operations ordinances provide an open process in which CAFO owners can develop plans that address community concerns. So that's what an operations ordinance is. And then be it resolved that the Town of Trenton residents advise that the Township Board authorizes a panel of Township residents and one Township supervisor to create an operations ordinance study commission and present their findings and recommendations to the Township Board within 1 year from this date. So that doesn't mean that they need to take a full year, but we do know that these kinds of things do take some time. So, but we also want to have a sunset on it so that it doesn't last for 10 years, for example. So basically what you're voting on is whether or not you want to advise and encourage the town board to go ahead and put together a committee to, what Marie said pretty eloquently, to talk about the whether or not to kind of come to a balance, I guess. So that's what you're voting on. Is that enough for you guys to understand?
Thank you.
Okay. So
So how is it going to be determined who's on this board?
Good question.
That's a good question. That's a good question. We don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know that. So,
How can you vote for something you don't even know?
How can we vote?
Yeah.
you can vote. Okay, what you're voting, you're not voting on who's on the commission. First of all, the Town of Trenton Board, if you guys vote to encourage the Town of Trenton Board to consider this, I will put this on the May agenda. I probably will either way, so that they can talk about it and have an open discussion on whether or not to do that, how many people to have on it, and who to, I mean, I guess, I don't know. The process would, my vision of it would be, okay, let's talk to Sarah and some of her people, let's talk to Rick and some of his people. Because that's really the kind of the two sides that we're talking about. Do we want to have 50 people? No. So we need to figure out people who are going to be reasonable and open-minded and have a discussion. So if you have some suggestions on how that goes, I don't know, we have interviews, I don't know. So this is the first step, is for you guys to say, we want the town board to consider doing this, and then that next step will be the administration of it.
Actually, the person that picks who's going to be on that committee would be the chairman. That's how it states in our code of ordinances. And he would assign them to that.
Well, then I can tell you that I would serve from the town on that committee, and I would suggest we.
So
Yeah, it'll be final counted technically. But for the motion's been.
There were quite a few people who have walked out who may have submitted these.
I know they have.
So
Oh,
I
that's
don't
true,
want you to get
yeah. So
answers.
there were people already that submitted their forms in there, so if you want, just go ahead and copy them, the same.
We have a motion on the table in a second, so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Thank you very much. Second.
Can I make a motion to approve the biodigester moratorium resolution?
All right, so the second one. So this is basically to encourage the town board to put a moratorium on approving any biodigester or biogas biodigester and put together a study commission for this as well to see how it affects the town. So the resolutions are that the Town of Trenton residents advise that the township board will pass a moratorium on new industrial biogas facilities and also establish a biogas biodigester study committee to study, review, consider, and determine if new ordinances or amendments to existing ordinances are required to protect the public, health or safety, environment, public infrastructure, or property values of the town of Trenton. And be it further resolved, the BDSC, which is the you understand, shall be comprised of a panel of township residents and one township supervisor, and that the BBC will present their findings and recommendations to the township board within 1 year from the date the industrial biogas facility moratorium was passed. So. Sir, call it roll.
Do I have a second? Name? Marcus. All right, we have a second. We have a motion and a second on a proposal, so all those in favor? Marcus, you're not voting for me? You put the motion through. All right, all those opposed? Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
So, based on the hand showings, it looks like it was denied or failed. That's not to say, first of all, once I count those things, and that's also not to say that the town board will still not consider it. Okay, so just so you know.
Couple announcements and we're
Okay, town crier is almost going to print, just be aware of that. It'll be on the website before it gets to your mailbox. Please, if you have issues with the website, please let me know, because I can't fix them without knowing that there's issues. And then these minutes will be posted in draft form hopefully within a month. I'm obviously going to have to be listening and hopefully not falling asleep for the 3 hours of this meeting while I listen to them. And that's all I've got.
I can see we've lost already.
Rick Gontram is coming to visit the town. We do that next Tuesday at 9:30.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.
You've been watching a live broadcast, the annual meeting, Town of Trenton. This live broadcast brought to you by American Commercial Real Estate.